Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. The Western Cape ANC has announced that its elective conference will be held on November 30th to December 3rd. The announcement comes on the back of an interim provincial committee meeting on the 17th of October, where it was agreed that progress has been made in the province's biggest region, Dullah Omar. For more on this, we're joined by Sifiso Mtshweni, who speaks for the Western Cape ANC. Very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. You've postponed conference several times since August. Branches have been a bone of contention. How confident are you that you will be able to ensure that you stick to the dates that you've set?
Good evening to you and good evening to the viewers. I think as a start, would like to extend our congratulations to the mighty Orlando Pirates for lifting the MTN 8. Coming to your question, indeed, we've been hard at work in the province, renewing the ANC, and you'd remember that the Western Cape comes from a very difficult period where the ANC was faced with quite a number of challenges, structures that were disorganized, factionalism, infighting, which has resulted in us losing substantial ground in the province. But this year, the interim provincial committee, as appointed by the National Executive Committee, has been able to do some work. As I'm talking to you, we've held 3 regional conferences in the West Coast, in Overberg, as well as in the Boland, Boland being the second biggest region. Very soon we'll be hosting a conference of the Central Karoo. The 2 main concerns, of course, as you said in your introduction, has been the biggest region, which is Dullah Omar, which we've had to dissolve the leadership there and put an interim team, which has done substantial work. As I'm speaking to you, the branches that have been able to convene there are close to 60%. We need 70% of that region to be able to hold the conference, as well as the Southern Cape, where we've also had to intervene to ensure that the work of the organization happens. So we are indeed on course. Of course, the last month has been characterized by meetings for the national conference, which of course set us back a little bit because all the structures across the country are concentrating on ensuring that branches meet and nominate for national leaders. And as I'm speaking to you, 73% of our branches have met to nominate for national leaders. And tomorrow, being one of the last days, we will be continuing with that work. Once we are done, all branches will start the process of nominating for provincial leaders.
Are you not at all concerned, given the level of infighting and the back and forth, that you could possibly be excluded from conference come December?
No. The national conference process has gone on smoothly. We've not experienced any problems. Branches have been nominating every day. By the way, for the first time since 1994, in this conference, the ANC in the Western Cape will be sending its largest delegation. Will be sending 283 delegates. As I'm speaking to you, 73% of those branches have met. Today, other branches have met. Tomorrow, other branches are meeting. By the time we reach Monday, we should have concluded that work of ensuring that the delegates from the Western Cape but those are 2 separate processes. Not been any problems. The process of the provincial conference has also gone on smoothly. As I said, we've had regional conferences. We continue to have regional conferences. And as time goes on, once we've closed the issue of the national conference, we will be able to put all our energies in ensuring that the province elects its own leadership. And that is the commitment that this provincial leadership has.
The Dullah Omar region was once the ANC's flagship, and as you speak about it, I mean, you were talking about the challenges that were experienced there. And looking at the numbers, the region's misfortune shows that it's waning support amongst voters, looking at how it's dropped from almost 40% in 2000 to 18% in the last local elections. Looking at the level of infighting at this point in time, what do you think it would mean as, the next poll comes?
Look, you're correct. We've had a lot of challenges in the Dullah Omar region. And these have been challenges that have come on for quite a number of years. But I think where we are as this provincial leadership, We've restructured the leadership there. We've made sure that branches go in properly, smoothly. As I'm talking to you, I mean, we've said close to 60 branch general meetings in Dullah Omar. Not a single report of a meeting being disrupted, not a single report of infighting as you're reporting. So we've actually taken a decision to say, let's nest that particular region because that region is very strategic. The metro is located there. And it is our intention to ensure that by 2024, we take the DA out of 50%. We've been able to do it in 15 municipalities across the province. So our main aim is to make sure that we recover lost ground, we re-establish our relationship with civic movements, our relationship with the colored community, which has actually moved away from the organization for some time, and make sure that we build strong branches that will be able to take the organization forward. So indeed, we have been concerned about Dullah Omar, but it remains our commitment to ensure that Dullah Omar has a leadership that is elected and it's focused and it's ensuring that it holds the DA to account. Because as you know, the DA in Cape Town in particular has been serving the interest of the affluent areas. Areas such as Khayelitsha, Delp, areas such as Gugulethu have been neglected. There's sewage running all over the streets. So it's important that the ANC becomes very strong so that we're able to ensure service delivery to our people.
Yeah. As you build on ensuring branches are strong, there's been some criticism that has come from the disbanded provincial ANC Youth League saying that much of the problems are really around the old guard, saying that younger people need to be brought in to mitigate and assist in the growth of the party in the province. And that in itself could then help with the infighting and the factions that are at play.
Well, we've not seen that criticism, if you were to call it. But indeed, the ANC, as it renews itself, it's important that it must infuse energy. It must infuse young people. Young people still constitute the majority of the population in the province. And therefore, the outlook of the ANC has to reflect that reality. But as I'm speaking to you, the interim provincial leadership that was put together by the National Executive represents all generations. You've got people like Ibrahim Rasool, you've got people like Mcebisi Skwatsha, you've got people like Richard Chanji, you've got people like Sean Benefeld, Cameron Dagmo. I mean, even myself, I consider myself a younger generation. So indeed, there is that mix, but we do think that by the time the provincial conference sits, you must have an ANC that reflects the demographics of the province, but at the same time, it must infuse that youthful energy. Indeed, it's a correct characterization that an aging organization cannot be agile, an aging organization cannot be creative to the challenges that we face. But I do think that all our structures are alive to that. Regions are being led by relatively younger people. Branches are led by relatively younger people. So I do think that we're actually on course.
And perhaps before we let you go, what about the challenge of new demarcations with some branches struggling there? Is that still a factor as you and I speak?
Well, it's more of a factor in the Southern Cape. So the Southern Cape was affected by some demarcation issues where branches have had to split. And that's the matter that we've actually been attending to. I think in the metro, in the Dullah Omar region, we've sorted it out. Our branches are actually sitting. So the bigger issue is how do we deal with that issue in the Southern Cape? And we've been alive to that. And all those particular challenges, we've been able to analyze them. We've been able to come up with a program to address all those particular issues. And as I'm saying, this leadership is very committed not only to take the province to its conference, but also to unite the organization and renew the ANC so that it rediscovers itself as the hope of the people of the Western Cape, but also as a home for everybody, in particular the poor and the downtrodden.
Very well. Thank you for your time. Let's leave it there for now. Western Cape ANC spokesperson Sifiso Mtshweni speaking to some of the dynamics in the Western Cape. The ANC in the Western Cape, they're yet to conclude conference.